Hey there, I hope you're well. This is Martin from Morniche, and we're back again for another week for a training session. I'll give it a minute or so just for people to join us, and then we'll crack on with the training. If you've got any questions, please do put them in the comments below, and I'll answer them either throughout the training or at the end. So please do feel free to ask any questions at any point, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Whether it's about this training or affiliate marketing in general, I'm more than happy to help. Bear with me, I've got a bit of a cold from the last week. I think because of lockdown, literally I'm getting a year's worth of colds in 1 week. So if I do suddenly mute the microphone and get a bit of water, then that's hopefully going to stop me from coughing and sneezing all the way down the microphone. So yeah, we'll give it a minute or so. This week we're basically going to go through plugins and typically the plugins that I use for my website. So it's my go-to plugin stack, and it's one that I use for every single website that I have. There's going to be some differences on plugins that I use depending on website. So if I've got a website that's got recipes, then I'm going to have a recipe plugin. But most of my websites, I'll have the same, core plugins. And there are obviously alternatives out there and different ones that you might prefer to use. These ones are just the ones that are my go-to and ones that I recommend. And hopefully there'll be at least one in there that you don't use and find potentially really useful. So we will crack on with the training now. Obviously, like I say, if you've got any questions, please hit them in the comments and I'll happily answer. And again, bear with me if I just mute it and get a glass of water because of this cold is killing me. So I'm just going to do that quickly now. So let's get to it. I'll share my screen. So here we have the sample website that I used again for the Yoom training, which has got all of the plugins that I've already set up in there based on one of the training lessons. So I'm going to go through them now, and I'll go through the settings as well, just to help to speed up that process for you. So don't feel that you have to obviously keep along with this video. It's going to be recorded. It's going to be in the YouTube channel. So obviously just come back to it if you need to double check any settings or anything like that. So let's have a look. So here we have the main plugins that I use, and there's not that many. And you don't need to actually use that many plugins. The problem that I see quite a lot, and I've done the same mistake quite a lot of times as well, is that you tend to just add plugin after plugin after plugin. And the main problem with that is that you just add in bloat to the website, you're going to slow it down. So you really want to keep a tight hand on the amount of plugins that you're using, and just to see if there's alternative ways of doing it that doesn't necessarily require a plugin to be installed and set up. So like I say, there's not that many that I actually use here. I have 8 that are active, and these are probably my go-to. I don't think there's any more that I'll add on here. There's maybe one more. Let me have a quick look just because I want to be sure. So let me just log into this website just to be sure. I don't want to have less, so let's just double check the plugins in this one as well. So there's obviously a bit more plugins. So yeah, maybe the contact form as well. Okay, so I'll add in some of these as well. So there's probably around about 10 or 11 main plugins that I would say are core plugins. And I'll run through them now. So the first one is Auto Optimize. And this is basically a plugin that's going to help to optimize your coding behind your site. So it's going to optimize the CSS, the JavaScript, the HTML, and it's going to basically help to speed up your website. So if you don't have any form of plugin to help speed up your site, then Auto Optimize is a good option, and it's completely free. It doesn't cost anything, and it's one that I do tend to use on every single one of my websites. It works really well. It's lightweight. It's potentially a really good choice. Looking for a free option, and I think that's particularly more important coming with the new updates with web core values coming. We want to obviously get the site speed as high as possible, regardless of if that update comes out next month or the month after. So definitely want to look at speeding up your site, and that's why I'd recommend something like Auto Optimize. It's really easy to set up. You literally just want to optimize the JavaScript code, tick aggregate JS files. I don't know what a lot of these do. I'm not the most technical person in the world, but I know that these do work quite well, and it might change depending on your website setup and your server setup. But generally, I've had no issues with the way that this is done, and it's incredibly easy to do. Like I say, optimize JavaScript, optimize CSS, optimize HTML, and then, as far as I know, these are set as default, and then you just want to tick in these ones as well. And like I said, it's really simple and works from the get-go. Images, we optimize images, so here you can set lazy load images by just clicking on there, and that's really good because what that basically is, rather than loading all of the images as soon as your visitor lands on your site, it's going to load them as that image comes into view. So therefore, it's just going to help to speed up the site. It's not going to force everything to load straight away. So that's definitely a good option. And that's all there is to Auto Optimize. It's very simple to set up, very easy to do. Next, we will look at the next one, which is Classic Editor. Now, this is an optional plugin. This basically reverts the WordPress editor from Gutenberg to the Classic Editor. And it doesn't really, it's not an essential plugin. This is just my personal preference because I absolutely hate Gutenberg. It really irritates me. It feels slow, clunky. You know, if I just want to go into the editor to, you know, set a category or whatever, I don't want to have the page builder pull up. It takes a lot of time. So I add the Classic Editor just to get rid of that and have that instead. And it doesn't seem to be too slow. But again, it's not a essential plugin. So if you're really trying to trim down the amount of plugins that you've got, I'll, you know, get rid of that if so. And then we've got Elementor. So all of my websites I build with Elementor. That's just really easy to use, and you get real results, and you can still get really good page speeds. You know, if you've got it set up right and you've got your other plugins, Elementor can still run really quickly. This is the free version, and then there's the Elementor Pro, which is the paid version, which is really good as well. Obviously, just gives you more functionality. So definitely a good one to go for. You know, you want to get your sites looking a little bit better, a little bit more appealing on the eye, a bit more designery, then Elementor is great. The next one, which is definitely one of my go-tos, is Imagify. I think that's how you pronounce it. And what that basically does is it's an image optimization plugin, and it's basically done to help to compress your images when you upload them, as well as images that you've already got on your computer, on your website. And it's really important to do because so many people don't really think about optimizing their images. You know, they'll just put them up at whatever size, whatever, you know, file size, as well as dimension size. And that just really slows the site down and just just puts on so much bloat to the website. And I am incredibly guilty of doing this myself. One of my sites that I sold a couple of years ago was a food blog, and literally I would take pictures of the food and then I would just upload it, and I'll have file sizes on there which are like 5, 6, 7 megabytes. And, you know, I've been doing it a while and I'm still making stupid mistakes like that. So when I ran Imagify, it literally got the size down from like 150 meg down to a very small amount. So Definitely worth doing to help speed up your site. And it's real as well. In the settings, you simply set the optimization level, so we can see what that would look like. So here's an image. This side is what it would look like originally, the original size, and then this size is after the actual compression. So you've got, again, normal, so just standard normal compression. It gets it down, what, about 40 kilobytes. You get aggressive, that puts it down 200 odd kilobytes, and they can go ultra, and that drops it down to only 45. So that nearly shaves off 300 kilobytes off the page size. And you know, there's not that much massive difference. It's still pretty decent. I tend to put everything as ultra. You know, it's a lot of affiliate sites. They're not, you know, they're not graphical sites. They're not necessarily, you know, food blogs where people are coming to look at lovely food, or they're not, you know, photography aimed sites. So you can afford to be a lot more aggressive when it comes to the optimization of the images, just to get that page speed down. And with Imagify, it's a semi-paid tool, because you can get a free version of it where you get 100 credits to optimize the images that are on there. You can then pay on a so many credit basis. I think it's only like $10 for 100 credits, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. Or you can pay for a monthly unlimited access, and I think I pay around about $10 a month for that. So it's not, you know, it's not ridiculous, and it helps to control all that. You can avoid using a plugin like this by just doing the optimization before you upload the image. So using a online tool to optimize all your images, but that's just an extra step that you need to do when creating your content. So I find that having this plugin just speeds that whole process up. And settings wise, it's really easy. We have auto optimize images on upload. You back up the original images just in case you like it, you can revert to them. So that's really good. Turn off the keep EXIF data. So that's basically just the data that's stored on the image, such as you know, like it says here, shutter speed, exposure, stuff that you don't need when it comes to a web image. And then we've got the Create WebP versions. That's obviously just faster images for the web. Then you can set a resize image. So obviously, if any image is higher than this, we'll resize it down. And that's really important. You know, like I said before, I had my food blog where I was uploading really big images, and they were like 6,000 by 6,000 pixels. So it was absolutely ridiculous. So something like this to actually force you to have smaller image sizes is definitely a good feature. And you can actually optimize your individual file size as well. This is all default, so I just leave that as is, to be honest with you. And then you can just save changes and save and go to bulk optimization. And then what this does is it allows you just to Imagify all your images. So it just makes all of your images that are already uploaded smaller. So if you have a new website, you don't necessarily need to worry about the bulk one. If you've already got a website that's got images on there, then you can do the bulk, and it'll just literally do all of the ones that are already on your site and get that straight down. And like I say, it does a really good job. I don't know if on this site, if I've done, you can see what I've done on it. So yes, I've done some here. So we can see here the original file size of my images. Bear in mind, those 64 images was 76 megabytes. Some of that might have been theme stuff, theme images. And then the optimized file size is 17 megabytes. So that's literally dropped that down by about 60 megabytes. So saved a ton of space there, which is really good. So it's saved, here we go, 78% size. So definitely worth doing if you don't currently optimize. And like I say, that's going to speed up your site quite a bit. Image optimization is something that a lot of people don't do, and is also one of the things that does cause major, you know, a lot of the speed issues. So let's have a look. Next, we have insert headers and footers. This is just a basic plugin which we can go to settings and I'll show you. It just allows you to add the tags to the headers and footers. So here we've got manager, we've got, you know, if I'm doing Pinterest, I'll have that on there. You know, it's just your verification pics normally. And it's just quick and easy to do it as a plugin. It is what it is. It's just to literally add your tags. So that's the headers and footers, and yeah, does what it says. It doesn't use a lot of, you know, resources on your site. Saves you in editing themes and all of that jazz. So it's quick and easy. Now, one of the plugins that I started using recently is called Link Whisper. And this is obviously the free version. There is a paid version. Okay, one moment. So there's a free version and a paid version, and I've only just really started using it, but it is actually really useful. So I don't think you actually need to worry too much about settings. I haven't touched any of the settings, if I'm honest with you. So obviously just ignores words, which is fine. What it basically does is when you have a piece of content, I don't know if I've got any on this site just yet. So, okay, we've got this one here. So if we go into edit this piece of content, we can come down here and we can see right here, we've got Link Whisperer suggested links. And basically what it does is it goes through all of your content on your website and sees and recommends potential posts on your site that you could link to through here. So it's basically helping you find internal linking opportunities. You know, if you've got a 100-page site, it can be quite difficult for you to find and maintain internal linking. So what this plugin basically does is it suggests potential places that you could internally link to. And that does help with SEO. If you've got a good internal linking structure, it can really help to pass that link juice through and boost up that content. The free version shows you the opportunities that you can link to, and then the paid version will do it automatically. Personally, I wouldn't use the paid version. I prefer to do things manually. I prefer to know exactly what is linking to where, just so I can make sure there's no, you know, over optimization or issues like that that's going to cause me problems. So the free version is perfect. It will literally just tell you here what pieces of content it should to or you should link to, and then you just go back into your post and create that link, and then it's done. So a really powerful tool to help with internal linking. I don't know if I've got one on this website that I can show you. I might do. Let's have a look at this one, maybe. So let's look. I don't think I do, but we can check. So where are we? It's running really slowly. You know, I don't even think I've got it in this one. Have I? No, I don't. Well, I can't show you then because I haven't got it installed. Let's just put that in there and then I'll show you now. This is live streaming. If I was recording now, I would have removed those. Link Whisper. Right, let's get that installed. And then I can show you exactly what it looks like. So that's just going to take a minute. Hopefully. Like I say, if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments and I'll be more than happy to answer any of those. Right, okay, so activate. Here we go. So now we've got that installed. Let's go to posts and we'll see if we've got any opportunities. So if we go edit, then here down at the bottom, we've got suggested posts to link to. So on my article, I have this phrase here. So this is the phrase that I've got, and it's suggesting that I link to this post here. So what I can then do is go to edit the piece of content, find that phrase and add that link. And it's just giving me that recommendation. You can do it so it's only showing links within the same category. So if you created a silo structure, then you can make sure that the internal links are staying within that silo. So a really good tool. And like I said, the paid version will do this automatically. So it'll create this link automatically on your behalf. But I personally wouldn't recommend that, just so you've got complete control over it. So for me, that's a really good, powerful plugin just to help boost that internal linking if you're not too confident with doing it yourself. So next up we have Rank Math SEO. So this is the SEO plugin, and you might notice here I've got Yoast. So previously I used Yoast quite a lot. Yoast was my typical go-to SEO plugin. It does, did everything that I needed to do, everything I needed to. It's a good plugin. There's been a few issues in the past with updates and stuff like that. So I've been testing out different ones, and Rank Math SEO is a really good plugin. It has additional functions in there, so you can do your schema straight away. So you don't need an additional plugin to do any of the schema stuff. And it also does the redirections, I believe, as well. So you don't need to, again, get another plugin for redirections. So it's really easy to use, and they've got a nice setup wizard. So if you previously used another plugin like Yoast, the setup wizard would basically help to automate a transition. So it'll kind of just apply the Yoast SEO settings to the Rank Math settings. So really useful. So if we go setup wizard, because I've not actually set this one up yet, you can just go easy or advanced. So easy will just do some best practices. Advanced is obviously a bit more advanced, and then custom is obviously for pro. So I don't pay for this tool. I don't get the pro version, so the free version's full enough for what I need. So then I will just hit start wizard, and then like I say here, we can import data. So you can select what data you want to import. So if you've already created all of this information in Yoast, you can just set that down. It will import it all, or you can not import. I'd probably personally import it and then just go through it and review that it's all correct. So we'll start the import. And this won't take very long for me because there's next to no content on this website. So for you, it might take a little bit longer. And then continue. And then here we have the typical schema data. So you've got your saying whether it's a personal blog, a business, all that good stuff. Add in a logo. So I don't know if I've got the logo uploaded yet. I don't believe I have. Media library, no. So you're basically putting your logo there and a default social share there. And we'll continue. And then you basically just connect it to your Rank Math account, which is free. This just helps with doing all the verifications with Google Search Console Analytics. So it just helps to speed that process up as well. Save and continue that. Next, we can create obviously the XML sitemap, which is what we want to submit to Google Search Console. So you can say no to creating it, but you do want that to be there. So you can just create it, include images. You can then obviously have your post types. So you got post pages, landing pages. This might be a little bit different. And then you can also include any other taxonomies such as categories, tags. Personally, I never actually include those myself, so I won't have that on there. And then we can actually set the SEO tweaks here. So we can make sure that we no index empty category and tag archives, which we want to do. We don't want them. You can no follow external links by default, but we don't want to do that because, linking out to authority sites within your niche is actually beneficial on an SEO basis. You do want them to be do follow. So if you set all links as no follow external, then that's not going to benefit you in any way. And then obviously open external links in a new window. We'll keep that as that, just to keep people on our website. And then you've got this, advertising stuff. I don't bother with any of that at all. That's just, advertising. Like I say, you don't need the paid version. And that's for the basic setup. So then we can do the advanced setup as well. And again, a lot of this you don't need. Role manager, I just ignore. Then we have 404 monitor, which is really good. So you can set that up so that it will monitor for any 404 issues. And you can also automatically set up redirections to do, combine that along with the 404 monitor. I'm going to do that manually myself, but the 404 monitor is really, really good. Next, we have the schema markup. So this is just the default schema markup for the web. You can leave this as it is, to be fair. I think this will be suitable for most of affiliate sites. Sorry, the screen's a bit smaller. So here we have all of the different modules that are within Rank Math. So you can add them and turn them off and whatnot. So like I say, we've got the 404 monitors on, analytics is on. If you want to do image SEO, then you can turn that on and then do the settings for that. Just redirections, we can turn that on and do the settings for that. If you're doing local SEO, you can turn that on. Instant indexing, you can just do that as well and put in the settings. So there's quite a lot of things that you can add in there. And like I said, this is all free, and it'll just save a lot of resources. So like I say, it's got redirection set up, so you don't then need to install a redirection plugin to manage your redirections. It's got the schema stuff, so you don't necessarily have to install a schema plugin. So there's just a lot of extra settings in here that are going to save your time, your load time and whatnot. So that's why I've moved to Rank away from Yoast SEO. Quick question here. So again, I use Wix. Do you know if any of the plugins to recommend would be used on Wix? To be honest, I've never used Wix myself. I'm not sure whether Wix can support plugins or what plugins they would use. To be honest, I've not used them at all. I do need to probably just go in and have a look at Wix and just see how it works. So yeah, really, I can't comment on that, I'm afraid. Next one we've got here is WP last modified info. Really easy to set up. You just go to settings when it loads, and I just turn it on. So that will be red by default, saying it's off, and then turning it on will be green. And these are the default, I believe. One moment. Excuse me. So these are the default ones. So what this basically does is when you create a post, you've obviously always got the date of when that was published. And what you want to do is, because Google likes fresh content, Google likes you to update the content, add new content on there. What this basically does is it will either replace that published date with the last modified date. So it tells Google that it's an updated version, or you can actually set it to just add it before. So you've got the published date, and then you've got a modified date or updated date. So this one is just really good for not just telling Google that you've updated your content, but also the user as well, so that they are seeing that, this article that you've written is not 4 years old and therefore thinking it's out of date and clicking away. If it's fresh data, they're going to, continue reading it. They've got enormous amounts available. Thanks anyway, no worries. I mean, what I'd probably recommend with Ken is probably just look at the review stars, the ratings, and if it shows you how many people have installed them, generally go for the higher the number. If a lot of people have installed it, it's got good ratings, got good reviews, it's probably going to be a good plugin to go for. So that's all of them that are on this site. There's a couple that I haven't installed on that previous site, which I would definitely recommend. So you got contact form 7, so you can create a contact form for people to email to you. Quite a useful plugin to have. We then have Simple Author Box. box, which basically allows you to create just a little bit of a better looking author box. So if we see here, we've got this here, name, you can put your socials, and it's all customizable. So you can basically change the margins, change the colors, and all of that good stuff, just to make it look a little bit more aimed around the theme of your site, so it just looks better. And I would definitely recommend having author boxes on your site. And yeah, it's just a really good way of doing it, and it's really useful for updating your images as well. So if we here we go. So by default, obviously WordPress will use the thumbnail that's on your Gravatar, but with the simple author box, you can actually just upload an image and replace it, and that just makes it easier uploading a profile picture. Obviously there I am with my lovely lockdown hair, which I'm glad I've managed to get rid of. Now the final plugin, I believe it's the final plugin. Let's have a quick look. So we've got Table of Contents Plus. A good way of getting a table of contents on your site. If you use things like Elementor, you can get a table of contents in there, but it doesn't always have the functionality that you might want. So I've started using Table of Contents Plus because you can just left align it or right align it to your content and just have it hidden as well if you wanted to. So with Elementor, when you've got a table, it's always showing, whereas with Table of Contents Plus, you can show or hide it, so it just takes less attention away. But a table of contents is a good to have, just because it's going to help to get additional site links, user navigation. So definitely recommend all of your content have table of contents on there. TablePress I don't use that much. The last one is WP Rocket, and this is one that is a paid tool, but I would say that if you have a site that is getting traffic and even new revenue, then I would definitely recommend WP Rocket for your speed, for your optimization of your speed. Now I've not actually set this up yet because it's a fairly new website, but it can work alongside Auto Optimize, but it can also work independently on its own as well. Basically, it's a caching plugin. It generally just helps to speed up the website quite a lot. So it's one that I would definitely recommend if you're looking at improving your web core values. It's not that expensive. I believe it's around about $40–50 a year. So it's not, it's not ridiculously expensive. And the benefits massively outweigh the cost. So like I say, you've got caching, so you can just do the caching for mobile devices, logged in users. You can set the caching LAN, and that just basically means that it stores the actual site information there, so it's not constantly reloading everything. It's got the file optimization that Auto Optimize has, so you've got the minification of the CSS and the JavaScript. So that's obviously going to help with speed. You then also have the lazy load, so you can lazy load images, you can lazy load videos, which is really good. You can make sure that you've got missing image dimensions. So sometimes if you don't have the right dimensions, then that can cause the layout to shift of the site, which is going to be affecting one of the web core values. So that's really useful. And then you can also get rid of embeds as well. I've not used that myself, but it's potentially useful. And then you've got WebP caching, so it helps you speed it up on multiple browsers. And then you can preload stuff, so you can activate preload, so you can preload your cache, so it just speeds up the site. You can preload links, you can prefetch stuff. So if you, I'm not, like I said, I'm not technical, so a lot of this does go over my head. But you can basically, if you've got certain files, as the site loads it finds these files, you can actually preload all of those when the site starts loading. So it preloads them all, So it just speeds the whole loading process. You can do that with files, and so really useful. I've never had to touch any of this. Database, so you can reduce your bloat by getting rid of revisions. So every time, every time you create a post, every time you edit that post, it will create a revision in the database. So it keeps track of all of those revisions. And over time, they obviously build up and just build a bit of bloat up on the site. Visitors shouldn't experience any issues with that, but it's worth just removing all of those anyway. So this just helps to speed up the back end of the site as well. And then if you have a CDN, you can attach it to WP Rocket to speed things up, and definitely recommend getting a CDN. Cloudflare still a good option for free CDNs, and it just helps to speed the site up because it helps to put all your content, the images and everything, in a server that's close to your visitor. So it speeds up the load time for that visitor depending on where they are in the world. So definitely recommend getting a CDN to help with speed, and you can hear Heartbeat. I don't to worry about, and I don't tend to worry about any of the other stuff. Obviously, like I say, if you've got Cloudflare, you can add it here and it'll work in line with that. And that is it really. That is WP Rocket, and like I say, it's a really good tool to just help with speed. I'm doing quite a bit at the moment to look at improving my own personal web core values on different websites, so that I can obviously share what I've changed and how to actually make it faster. So if we have a quick look, I can quickly show you. Sorry, what am I doing? Here we go. I'm not with it right now. So let's load this page, and then we'll load it up, inspect, and then we will go to Lighthouse, and then we'll generate a report. So that's basically just going through it all now, just getting a look at the web core values. So it's just loading. Okay. I know there are improvements to be made, so don't be surprised. Okay, so here we go. So we've obviously got 100 for SEO, which a lot of us will hopefully get 100 for SEO because that's what we do, and accessibility is all fine as well. There's a couple of improvements to be made in performance and best practices, which really easy to do. So got all these links here. So these are links on the page, so it will show me where they are, hopefully. Oh, here we go. Let's go back to the report. I've gone off it. So these are basically saying that you should link external links can be unsaved. So it's just basically telling you to put on a no opener, no referrer tag to your external links, and that will fix that in a heartbeat. So that's really easy to fix. The next is display images with an incorrect aspect ratio. So this is just basically saying the image is this size, its actual size is this size. So the image is 64 by 64 pixels, but the image, the file size image, is 131,365 pixels by 1,000 pixels. So all I'd need to do to fix that is re-upload this image at 64 by 64, and then that'll be done, and that'll be 100%. So easy. And then there's just the performance, which we've got server response time, which tends to be more on a server side. So if you're getting that, you might need to just look at your server. And then these things we just need to look into to see how we can improve on optimizing that. But I'm going to do that in a completely new video in the future. So yeah, that's just showing how WP Rocket can help. And I believe that is all of the plugins that I think are essential and what I tend to go for. So hopefully that has helped. If you do, have any questions, please do put them in the comments. More than happy to answer them. Like I said, the majority of these plugins are free. There's a couple that do have a bit of a cost to them, but I think 90%, 95% of them are completely free. So when Google Core Web Vital will start, so page speed has always been important. I believe the Web Core Value update is going to be in June now. It was going to be May, but I think they moved it back to June. So plenty of time to get the scores up. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference. I don't think, people that have got good Web Core Value stats, results, they're not going to suddenly see a rank increase. So their sites aren't going to suddenly go to the top page Google. Links and on-page SEO are still always going to be the most important thing for a website to rank. So if you've got one website which has got lots of authority because of backlinks, you've got one website that loads really quickly, the authority one's gonna rank higher because it's got the backlinks, it's got the authority. If you've got two sites that are fairly equal, if you've got position 1 and position 2, right? Let's say your site's position 2, your on-page SEO's on point just like theirs, your link profile's on point just like theirs, then that's when Web Core Values might help to spin that needle. If your site loads faster than theirs, then that might help push that up. But it's going to have the secondary effect of that, if your site loads quickly, then people will come onto your site, they will stay on your site, which then tells Google that your content answered that question, and that will give you the bump. If someone comes onto your website and it loads incredibly slow, then there's a very good chance they'll hit that back button, which then tells Google your website didn't answer their query, even though it might have done. And then therefore they'll potentially demotivate, rank you down because somebody didn't stay on your website. So that is the main functionality of it. You want to get your page speed up to keep people on your site, which then gives Google the impression that your content actually answered the query, and then therefore rewards you for that. So, but to answer the question, June. So I'll hang around about for another couple more minutes if there's any more questions, and yeah, be more than happy to answer those for you. Don't forget, More Niche, we've just launched the weight loss competition. So every sale that you get for any of the weight loss brands in More Niche will put you in to win in that competition. So make sure you do go to connect.moreniche.com to enter the competition and start content on all of the weight loss brands. They're currently doing really well. Trim Tone's doing very well. So is Fengold, and Fentimines a great product. Fengold is doing really well based on that. And I've said it before, I personally love the Prime Shred and the Prime Shred branding. So yeah, definitely a good competition to get into. Even more so now that lockdown is going to a gradual end in the UK. So more and more people are starting to book holidays, which means that now more and more people are going to want to get their body the way they want for the beach. So more people are going to be looking to lose weight and all of that good stuff. So definitely a good time to start pushing those brands. Excuse me. Using Rank Math Pro, but my site has a problem with their sitemap. Half my articles excluded from the indexes. Any ideas? I would probably, without seeing it, I wouldn't be able to comment, but I would probably, I'm assuming you mean that are they in the sitemap and that you have submitted it to Google Search Console and Google have discovered them but just not yet indexed them. If that's the case, if they're in the sitemap and you've submitted the sitemap and Google's found that sitemap and it's fine, then they will get indexed. It might just be a little bit of a slow process on Google's part. Maybe add some internal link in there to relevancy just to help pass that link juice across and help the crawl bot that content. And if it's your key content, so if it's content that you want to, if it's not just link bait articles, but it's money page content, then you could even start looking at building a couple of backlinks to help push that up as well. So, safe backlinks such as any social shares, citations, potentially things like that, just to help give it that little bit of a bump, guest posts, things like that. If that's what you mean, because I've experienced that where I've got my sitemap, I've submitted to Google Search Console, they've found them but just not indexed them, and it's just a case of a waiting game for them to index. But you can just help to speed that on by helping with that internal linking and building some backlinks up. No worries. Hopefully it's helped. And yeah, answered some questions. With plugins, I mean, there's so many plugins, it's really hard to know which ones to use, and these are just the ones that I tend to use all the time. Which one is more powerful, backlink, press release or guest post? It's going to depend on the source. So, what's the authority of the site that it's coming from? What's the traffic? Is the link going to get any traffic? Is the link going to have any backlinks? Personally, press releases, I would personally go for a guest post over a press release. It's, if you were to follow the Google guidelines, you shouldn't pay for backlinks. So a press release is generally typically you're paying for a backlink. You're paying for that PR. A guest post doesn't necessarily look as though it's paid, even though most of them are. So out of the two, I would personally go for a guest post, but I would be looking for a site that has a decent domain authority, actually gets traffic, so it's not just got fake metrics. Basically, it's not got manipulated domain authority. So the site is actually getting traffic and it's actually getting backlinks. And what you want to do is make sure that the guest post actually also ends up getting traffic and backlinks as well. So once you've written that guest post and they've uploaded it, I would personally invest a little bit of money in building some backlinks to that guest post. They're typically known as tier 2, and that's going to basically boost the strength of that backlink to your site. And yeah, the best backlink you can get is decent domain authority, gets traffic, and also has backlinks. So I would go for a guest post and do a bit of linking to it myself. One technique that I learned a while back was that, if you have a guest post, you get a guest post on the site, if they've got any content is related to that guest post, you ask them if they're willing to do some internal linking to that guest post as well, just to help boost it up. And that's going to help boost the backlink to your website. Link short, no, I tend to just use Bitly if I'm going to use one. It's Bitly. Is it Bitly? Yeah, it is Bitly. So yeah, I just use bitly.com if I do use one. To be completely honest, most of my affiliate links, I don't shorten them at all. I don't even take the affiliate link out. I just put it as a blank affiliate link, if that's what you're using it for. So yeah, Bitly is a URL shortener. If it is to mask your backlinks, personally, I wouldn't use a shortening service such as, just because you're relying on a third party to maintain that backlink, maintain. So if anything happens on their side, then that link will no longer work. So I would personally recommend looking at your own link masking on your site. You use a plugin such as, I don't know if it's still around anymore, but you've got a plugin such as GoCodes, which you can use to mask affiliate links. Like I say, if that's what you're using it for. I don't think GoCodes is around anymore. There's one, Thrifty, I think it's called. I mean, that's not spelled right. This is weird, my spelling's terrible. Thrifty, that's it. So link masking, then thriftlink.com is fine. I think that's it. Maybe not. No, that's not it. That's a hardware site. Oh my goodness. I'm pretty sure it is called that though. But like I say, I don't, whenever I do affiliate sites, I don't tend to mask my links. No, it's not that one. Is link mask out on Monish? So we allow you to, you can mask your links. You don't have to show the affiliate link to your visitor. I personally don't like masking my links. I'm not. Google doesn't hate affiliates. I'm not going to hide that stuff. But it is fine as long as you're not misleading the visitor. So you're not misleading them, telling them they're going somewhere and they end up somewhere else. I can't find now, but yeah, I mean, for me, for the amount of time I've been doing affiliate marketing for, I've never had to mask my links. I've always just used standard affiliate links. No worries. Cool. I'll give it a couple more minutes if there's any more questions. And then next week I've got some more training planned next week. Let me just double check what it is. Let's put it up. Where are we? I'm trying to remember what I've got planned next week. Pull my spreadsheet up. So the date next week is that one. So yeah, next week probably look more into web core values. So going to go more into detail about web core values. So I'll go into what to look at, how to improve it, go through some example websites of potentially of my own and random websites, not affiliate websites. I'll go to Google and look at for niche and see if we can get some affiliate sites and just review the web core values and see what they can do to improve on it. Because then if you obviously see that and you've got the same errors showing up, then you can hopefully replicate those fixes. So yeah, we'll look at the web core values and what we can improve on. Cool. So we will leave it there, I think. Thank you everyone that came. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you found it useful. Any questions, just reach out, get in touch, and yeah, I'd be more than happy to answer. So I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of the week, and I will see you next time.